Good morning and welcome to a wet and windy and cold southeast England. Welcome to the Happy Head podcast. My name is Paul, I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Bel, all the way from sunny Australia. How is the weather where you are, Bel?
Unfortunately, it is a little bit cloudy and cool, but yeah, a little bit wet like London.
Yeah, but when you say cool, you probably mean like something like 27, 28 degrees. When I say cool, we're talking 9 or 10 degrees.
True. No, we're 21.
Oh, 21, that's not bad. I can deal with that kind of cool. Now, so I
Yes.
apologize. It's very, very windy and my windows are rattling. So if you hear background noise, that's what it's all about. So, Bel, why don't you just take a minute to introduce yourself and then we can start the conversation?
Sure. So thank you for having me on, actually, Paul, and sharing my story with your happy podcast people. So I'm 55 years old. I have two boys. One's 31 and 27. So they're big now. And 2017, I went through a hard time in my life where I got diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, and the doctor said it was aggressive, and she said that I should, like a normal traditional conventional treatment, either have a mastectomy, which is a removal of one or two breasts, chemotherapy, radiation, and drugs for the next 5 years. So I said to her that I'll go home and think about it. She said, go home and think about it. I said, yeah, let me just look at my options. So I did go home for 2 weeks. I said I'll think about it and look at my options, and I decided to get double mastectomy and not to do any more treatments like chemo, radiation, and drugs. I did do 2 sessions of chemo, by the way, because I felt pressured by my family, by the hospital. They sat me down with a psychologist and they said, do you have a death wish? And I'm like, no, I have a life wish, and I don't want to be in pain, and I want to anyway. So yeah, I did 2 sessions of chemo. I lost all my hair, my nails were affected, my organs, and I was in danger of getting my liver cancer as well from chemo. So I said no, that's it, that's enough. And so from there, in the last 3 years, I've been helping other women navigate through breast cancer, either through conventional treatment plus holistic way. Yeah.
Wow, you've been through some shit. Can I just ask a question? You
Oh,
said that you were at risk of getting liver cancer following the chemo. Is that a side effect?
oh yeah,
I didn't know. I had
yeah.
no idea. So you can actually get more cancer from taking
Correct.
anti-cancer treatment.
Correct. Yeah. There's a lot of studies that that have shown that effects of or chemo is ovarian cancer, depending on what type of cancer you have. Yeah, so they obviously have no guarantee that it would work, that cancer will not come back. Um, it's a big disclaimer here. I'm not a doctor and I'm not telling you not to do it, but just sharing with you my story that that's what I did. Yes, when I did, I was expecting it to come back, but I wanted to strengthen my immune system in such a way that if it did come back, I will bounce back pretty quickly. And for those of you or for any of you people know, anyone who does get cancer, any type of cancer, there's always a recurrence. Whether you do conventional or holistic, it's always in the back of your mind that it will come back or it might come back. And so what we do in this holistic type of lane is that we try to strengthen our immune system so much that we can always beat and reverse this disease.
So can we go back to kind of before you were diagnosed? Did you did you know something was wrong? Was it a routine test? Had you been kind of testing yourself regularly beforehand, or was it something just
No,
completely out of the blue?
correct. So Paul, basically, um 8% of cancer, of breast cancer, are genetic. So they could find a history of cancer on your family's side, either a father or a mother. It's 8% genetic, but the rest of it, cancer, is we all have cancer in our body, but whether it just promotes into a full blown cancerous cell. So I didn't have any genetic history, but I knew what I know now is that I was the biggest candidate for breast cancer. The way I was eating, the way my lifestyle, I wasn't really taking care of myself. Um, vodka was my best friend. I didn't sleep much. Yeah, and I had a very stressful job, toxic relationships. So all those was all accumulated in my body to produce and promote that disease in my body. So it's more like, Paul, it's what you sow is what you reap. To me, on my understanding now, in so much studies that, and thousands of women that I have talked to, we all assess the kind of life we had before cancer, and I think cancer is more like a tap on the shoulder that says, "Hey, Bel, there's something imbalance here. Let's let's recalibrate and let's see what it is you're doing in your body that is abusive and that you haven't been looking after yourself." So to me, cancer you might think it's funny, but I think cancer was a blessing to me because of the fact that I wasn't balanced, that I wasn't looking after myself.
Yeah, that is. You're the first person I've spoken to that's kind of said that it was a blessing. I've spoken to other cancer survivors, and they have kind of the same story. But are you saying that it was primarily how you were living your life, your lifestyle, that
Yeah.
created this cancer inside you? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we in this lane of holistic outlook of how we all got cancer or chronic disease, right? For me, it was my diet. I was so I, I didn't want to put on weight, right? And I'm always eating meat, not much greens in my diet, not much carbs. It was always chicken, eggs. I didn't really eat much meat in a sense, but chicken is white meat. Pork. Being Asian Filipino, we all love pork. So, and the things that go in our food, in terms of what they inject chicken and meat to make it grow so fast to meet the demand of the consumption, in the world. They would inject them with antibiotics to make them grow so fast, right? And so obviously, if they eat those things, if it is in their system and then we eat those chicken or meat or pork, um, then it does go inside our body, and there's so much study that has shown that the IGF, which is the growth factor that makes cancer grow, are found in eating meat. And then also, I was drinking a lot of alcohol, um, because I think it's a standard. My job was stressful, so I would relax every night with a glass of wine and vodka, stuff like that. And yeah, and I was putting so much stress in my body, and my type of cancer was estrogen, um, high estrogen in my body that produced this cancer. So all these things that was putting so much estrogen in my body, and I wasn't eliminating it fast enough, that has given me my cancer. And so now I just reverse that, knowing now that what it is, what I was doing, what I was sowing in my body, I was reaping the benefits of all that, the wrong benefits.
So you said that when you were diagnosed, you kind of took 2 weeks to think about what
Yes.
treatment process you wanted to go through. What was going through your mind during those 2 weeks when you'd have been given this news and then you had to make these really, really important choices?
Well, I am a person of faith, so obviously I prayed about it. What my best decision is, my best outcome for myself. I had no sense of fear of death. That to me it's a bonus. If I died, actually, it's a bonus for me. I feel like I'm going home. But I also wanted to research what other women have done, whether how many out there have been reversing and beating this disease in a natural way as well, right? I wanted to know whether there are other options aside chemo. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of stories that have beaten and reversed this disease, both holistic and conventional. I don't say don't do that side, don't do conventional or take drugs or anything. I have friends that have survived chemo and radiation and the drugs for the last 5 years, and then they're still okay now. But I have also friends who have died from chemo after doing it for 2 years. They've also died. So the numbers are all out there. But for myself, in my way of thinking, I wanted what is the right thing for my body. Was it just me? Was it just my eating habits? Was it my lifestyle? Because it's like someone has said this to me. It's like when you have a cold, you don't take the nose off, the whole nose off, just to get rid of the cold. And they said, and cancer is the same. Why take the whole breast if there was just one cancer? Is it really the same as cold? No, it's not. But it's like also saying you find a mold on your find a mold in your part of your house, for example, Paul, and then you bleach the daylights out of it, like bleach, scrub, right? And then you think, oh, yay, the mold's gone. Is it really gone? No, until you find out where it's seeping, the mold will come back. What's making the mold come back? The is it because there's no ventilation? Is it because there's uh, too much wetness in there? You will find, you try and find out where is the actual thing coming from that produces the mold in the room. The whole bleaching thing doesn't work because it will still come back, you know. So I kind of like wanted to assess for myself what is the best scenario that is, so that in 3 years time, in 5 years time, if it does come back, how can I beat it? Will I go through chemo again? If I do go through the chemo route and then I get liver disease, though, that's not an option. So yeah.
So, when you were diagnosed with it, did they explain to you why they had to remove the breast? Did they actually give you the explanation of what would happen if you didn't, and they just treated one localized area?
Oh, look, my type of cancer, the it was already big, so they could have taken it out, but they wanted to do chemo with that, like take out a little bit of the cancer or the cancer mass. Um, and then, but they wanted to do chemo and radiation with that. They're not gonna just take that cancer
Right.
mass out without chemo and radiation. But because I didn't want to do those two, I opted to get mastectomy.
So that was
So
kind of
what
like
they,
that was a
sorry,
safer option if you weren't going to have the radiation.
for me,
Right.
that's what I wanted. But they didn't also say that, if you do get both your breasts taken out, that you will not get it again, because I did get it again. So it's not a guarantee that even if your breasts are taken out, it's like same thing. Will you, why are you taking my nose off just because I have a cold? Does that mean my cold will never come back? So, well, when I did get my, when the cancer did come back on the same spot, it had not spread anywhere. Yeah, then I just treated it the same way again, differently. I just did more of the things that I was doing, and I did do 5 radiation treatments. So I'm not against conventional treatment. All I'm saying, at the time, 3 years ago, I wanted to go on this route.
How is your life different today than it was before you were diagnosed with breast cancer?
I actually feel healthier. Before, when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, I was way overweight. I was always tired, but I wasn't sleeping. Even though how tired I am, I would get 3-4 hours sleep. But if I drink lots and lots of red wine or vodka, I would get some sleep. But then I'd wake up after 5 hours again anyway, because your body's running out of alcohol out of your system, so you'd wake up. So yeah, I just think I'm also more compassionate, and more sensitive, with what is really more important in life, like relationship instead of money, um, health instead of wealth. Yeah.
So you spend a lot of time taking care of your mind and your body now, as opposed to beforehand, yeah?
Yeah. I'm more conscious of why the things. And before I would just chase. Now I'm like, okay, why are you doing that? I'm questioning the things that I'm doing, and say, what is the purpose? What for that? Is that for this? Is that because of that, or is it for a higher purpose? So yeah, I think that I'm more self-aware of what I'm doing. Yeah.
What would you say to any women listening today who haven't got any kind of cancer, but obviously there's always the potential? I mean, in the UK, they offer sort of checks, and there are some kind of personal checks that you can do. Would you suggest that people do get tested regularly?
Totally, yeah. 1 in 8 women get breast cancer. 1 in 8. So yeah, if I had been more self-aware and more conscious of my body. I was actually misdiagnosed, Paul. I came back from London, from on a speaking gig. I was in the airport, and I was wearing this blouse, and it had silver lining in it, and it sent the alarm off every time I walked past airport security. And she started patting me, and she patted me on the chest, and I thought, oh, that's sore. So that was February. And so around about end of Feb, I went to the doctor, and he said, it's red. So maybe just take some antibiotics. Not even suggesting, because I am in the age, and that was in my 50s, where I am susceptible to breast cancer. He didn't even recommend to think, get a CAT scan, let's have a mammogram, not no suggestion, just give me antibiotics. And so I ignored it and took the antibiotics, but it was still red. And it wasn't until August, because I was again busy with my life, right? That I thought it's still there, and it's still painful, it's still hard. It comes and goes, Um, maybe I should get it checked. So I did, this time with a female, and she immediately sent me off to get a mammogram. And by that afternoon, I was told I had breast cancer. It was stage 2 that spread onto my lymph nodes, and they had to take my lymph nodes out. When this is when I decided to get mastectomy, and and then I decided to have my breast taken out then.
Given that what you've been through, how do you help women today?
Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't answer your question. If you are in the age group of between 30 and 55, I would suggest to get a mammogram. Almost, if you're under 40s, maybe every 2 years. But from 40 onwards, especially if you can also get tested if there is a history in your family from way back, to see whether you are one of the 8% who might get it. But if you are also overweight, obesity adds to the not the cost, but the because your body is carrying so much weight and carrying so much estrogen, it's so easy to cancer to get promoted in that kind of environment. And so, yes, please just get yourself tested. It's free. I don't know. Is it free over there?
I think it's free. Yeah.
Yeah, it's free over here. So, and I just thank God that we do have the Medicare to help us. I had my own room when I had my double mastectomy. It was all paid for by the government. They made me sign when I decided to do the chemo. They made me sign to say that the hospital was going to get almost like $200,000 from the government because I wanted. I said that I was gonna do chemo, and I said to them, "But what if I stop? Are you still gonna get the 200?" And no comment. It's big money.
Oh yeah, so it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So
Yeah.
how do you help people today, Bel?
So I have a group. When people come onto my Facebook page group, it's called Babes Beating Breast Cancer. So I help women navigate through this season in their lives where it's very scary. Because people think that cancer, any cancer, is a death sentence, but breast cancer, if you're gonna get lucky, it's breast cancer is the best one you could get because it's very treatable. Yeah, so I help other women to just with their mindset to just navigate through this challenging season in their lives. Yeah, talking through it, coaching them through it, helping them with their diet. What else is stopping them? What are the fears? What are the challenges? Is it the have they looked into the toxicity around their house? Is there mold? Are they using products that makeup products that could promote cancer? So there's a lot to think about, and yeah. So when you go through cancer, sometimes you want to depend on your family, but they don't really understand, because they're not really going through it like you are. So they're quite sympathetic, but not really understanding. So to be able to hold each other's hand and be of um, be like-minded and have the same purpose and goal, and that is to get yourself healthy and increase your immunity in such a way that any chronic diseases that you might face or might happen to you, that your immune system is that strong that you can help with this disease. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is though, your immune system, if you are living the kind of lifestyle that you led, Bel, before your diagnosis, your immune system is overwhelmed. I read
Correct.
somewhere that alcohol increases your chances of getting breast cancer because of
Yes.
what it does to the insides. I mean,
Yeah.
alcohol is a great fun thing to have in moderation, but
Yeah.
we don't accept what moderation means, because in the UK I
Yes.
think two or three glasses of wine 2 or 3
It's
times a week
moderation.
is moderation. But if you're
Yeah.
having 2 or 3 glasses of wine a night plus maybe something else as well, that's way beyond moderation. So we're kind of
Correct.
tipping the scales towards
Yeah.
making our body suffer.
Yeah, and plus if there are no movements, like if you're not moving and not exercising enough, yeah, all these things create an environment where cancer cells will grow. you know um so you need to, so it's like putting in so much estrogen in your body and nothing was coming out. So obviously that accumulation will create an environment where cancer cells will grow. So if you're not moving, if you're have you know toxic stuff that you're feeding your body, like alcohol and meat, and not enough greens, like I wasn't eating enough greens. And so there's so many substances and compounds in plant products that would help reduce the estrogen in your body. So all these things that I didn't know, you know and all I was doing was just compounding all those things that make produce so much estrogen in my body that then led to me getting breast cancer. Yeah.
Where's the best place for people to reach you, Bel?
Oh, they can find me Bel Hackett, my own Facebook page, or VIP Babes Beating Breast Cancer. It's a closed group, but you just just apply to join. And yes, there's lots of women from all over the world there, from the US and the UK and Canada, and Australia. That just we post stuff that we're concerned about, or what about these, what about that. So is that good for your body? Uh, you know, soy, for example, there's so much controversy about soy, that whether it adds to um, breast cancer or not, that kind of thing. And did you know that there are 12 ways to spot breast cancer? So I've got a video of that on my page that people can just watch. And yeah, there's some PDFs in there. So yeah, there's lots to learn, and yeah, let's talk about.
12 ways to spot breast cancer. I think what I'll do is in the show notes, if you give me the links to that, I'll put that link in the show notes as well.
Yeah,
I
for
want to publish
sure.
something there. So listen, Bel, I really appreciate your time and thank you so much for sharing your story.
No,
I know
thank
it's not
you.
easy, yeah. And I
Thank
wish you
you.
all the best with your group and your future endeavors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Paula, for having me, and all the best with your podcast as well.
Thanks for watching, people. I'll
Okay.
see you in the next episode. Bye now.
Cheers. Bye.